Hey there, and welcome back to the Second Lunch Podcast. It's been a bit of a break. We've had some stuff going on in our lives, but we're back. Happy to be with you, and Kendall's growing fast.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
exciting. How old is she now? She almost 2?
She's almost 2.
Yeah?
My favorite thing that's happening right now is she's really learning to talk, but she's like really learning inflection on words, and that's the thing that's getting me. The other night, we were putting her down for bed, and we're listing all the things we have to do before we can go to bed. I'm like, all right, Kendall, we got to brush our teeth. We got to put on our jammies. We've got to read a book. And she interrupts me, and in the same tone of voice, she goes, Elmo. You know, her interests.
Yeah.
Basically.
Also,
Elmo.
there's no verb for what's happening with Elmo, or maybe Elmo is the verb.
Yeah.
We're going to Elmo.
Yeah. She's like, I just want to make sure it's covered, Elmo.
Yeah.
But
Don't want you to get to the end here
Yeah.
of the list.
She's also, I don't know where this came from. I know it's from me, actually. She loves to get up on the coffee table in our living room and practice roaring and barking. So she loves the center of attention.
What's she
part.
better at?
It's definitely, if I'm being honest, I think the woof is cuter.
Yeah.
The roar is pretty cute, but it lacks oomph.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
She's got a small, diaphragm. Her
Yeah.
chest can
Hers
only
is-
project
So
so.
it sounds like, wow. I'm like, Kendall, it's roar.
Yeah, you've got a little more chest to put into it.
Yeah. But the other, I don't know, a week and a half ago maybe, she was up on the coffee table, and I think I talked about it on the podcast before. The only thing she can really talk about happening to people is them falling. So she's up on the coffee table, and she's just kind of looking around, and she's like, Elmo, he fell. Cookie, he fell. Big Bird, he felt like a mobster bragging.
Yeah, I was
about
going
all
to
the
say,
people
is this
he's
The
whacked.
Departed?
You know what I mean? Yeah. It was so-
This one fell funny.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was almost like a campaign speech, like,
Yeah,
if
but
anybody crosses me, they're going to fall.
yeah, if you sabotage my numbers game, I'm going to break your legs.
Yeah.
Just take a look at my victim list.
But it's been pretty funny. I have noticed a couple things about cartoons, and Popeye in particular is bothering me.
Yeah.
Because I remember enjoying it as a kid, but now I put it on, I'm like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. This is just a spinach propaganda machine.
It's certainly effective for that. And I'm wondering if Popeye was on during, I was reading, and we'll have a This Week in History question about it, but about World War II rationing and some of the stuff that, that we brought back fairly quickly versus some of the stuff I think rubber was really hard to get
Right.
because the countries that produced it were on the other
Interesting you
side.
mention that because it's spinach out of a can. I'd never really thought of that. I mean, I figured it wasn't like the plastic containers or plastic bags we get now, but I didn't really think about it being out of a can.
When they were rationing, there were ration tickets, and so it wasn't necessarily you get 1 pound of this. It was you get 40 tickets, and then certain things cost more tickets than other things. So all the fresh produce was basically no tickets. You just pay for it because it's not going to make it overseas anyway. But Popeye is a sailor man. He would not be getting fresh spinach when he's overseas. He would be getting this probably gnarly canned stuff. It probably wasn't very good back then.
So why are they trying to tell me it's good?
It's maybe there was a glut, how we have that cheese.
Also, he was putting
Cheese
them
bank.
away. If they were supposed to be rationing that shit, and I was one of the other sailor men, I'd be like, you fucking asshole.
Yeah, unless you
All this for
traded
your forearms?
either that or he traded everything else in his MRE for all the spinach. You want some smokes? Dude, how much spinach can you put
So there's
down?
another sailor man with all the bread.
Yeah, exactly. There's one sailor man, no calories, but he's smoking 2 packs a day. Oh man, not to get too off topic here, but there's a channel that does MRE reviews, and the old MREs do have 4 packs of smokes. Little, you don't get a full pack in your meal, but they give you 3 to 5 per
MRE
meal.
stands for what? Exactly?
Meal ready to eat. Sorry.
Okay.
So they're sort of the magnesium heating element where you pour water on it and put it in a bag, and it can heat up, on the fly.
That is
But
so depressing.
but yeah, certainly the ones back then were pretty gross, and he gets a few that are well kept enough that he can eat them, 40, 50 years later. And yeah, some of them are pretty
The more
gnarly.
I find out about the even fairly recent past, the more I'm like, this is why people were dying at 50.
Yeah. Yeah, there's one that they call the Four Fingers of Death. It's like a hot dogs in tomato sauce sort of thing, but apparently it's just the worst. Like, because all they're eating is MRE. So for one to get that sort of reputation, it's like world-class bad in comparison.
I think I'd be alarmed to open something that old and see how good a shape the hot dog was in.
Almost like you would be more convinced to eat it if it had spoiled, because it would convince you it was more like a food item than like
than rubber or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is how we all ended up with microplastics in our testicles, eating these 60-year-old hot dogs, or hot dogs capable of getting 60 years old.
Weird, I don't feel like there's plastic in my balls.
But yeah, Popeye, definitely spinach propaganda. Here's another thing. He's beaten up a lot of people, but I know that era of sport was, could Popeye still do that?
Hold on. Why is the plastic going to our balls? Just go out the butt like everything else. Why are you making a detour? Why are you going to our balls? What do you got to do down there?
Yeah, is there anything else that goes down there? Like if I eat a McRib, or is there...
This is what's happening. Mannequins are trying to take over.
I like that conspiracy.
They get enough plastic in there. We're just going to start making...
Yeah. Making little plastic people.
Yeah.
See, I got the vasectomy, so I'm on the cutting edge of avoiding plastic humanoid spawn.
That just makes you a target.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you are no use to us.
All right, back to the important stuff, Popeye.
Yeah, Popeye. I'm just curious, like when you bring up Babe Ruth's stats and you're like, yeah, but they had the color barrier. Like, could Popeye have still accomplished those things in an open play field? Because I don't think there was a lot of white folks in that show. And I don't know.
Only forearm strength. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. This guy's clearly just, pulling up the anchor. That's all. He's got no other body strength.
He's just doing the roll the weight up just all day, every day.
Where does teeth go?
Maybe that's why he's eating canned spinach, because you can just suck that down. There's not a whole lot of...
You can just kind of gnaw.
Yeah, I can't imagine that requires a lot of tensile tooth strength.
I guess there should have been an asterisk at the bottom. Steak would be better, but my man lacks teeth.
Yeah, it's actually a really depressing cartoon about one man's quiet desperation to hopefully find better food.
It is a depressing cartoon.
I hate spinach, but this is my only way. Okay.
And another thing I wanted to talk about that has been bothering me.
Yeah.
Only because I'm buying more bananas now. Is it just me, or banana peels way too dramatic?
In what way? In the way, like...
Either they're, like, showing off, like, ooh, look how ripe I am. And they're not fucking ripe. Like, oh, you look perfect. Oh, you're not ready to eat, you son of a bitch. You got me. And then it's like, when they are ready to eat, they don't look like it. They look like they've been through hell and back.
See, I am admittedly somebody that falls on the... I eat mine slightly unripe. Slightly green.
Same.
So I do avoid some of the gnarly bananas. But I swear I bought... It was at Costco. So you have to commit to like 3 pounds for
mistake.
Exactly.
You can't eat all that in time.
No, 5 pounds of bananas for $2. So it's a screaming deal. But I happened to have to leave for that weekend, and these motherfuckers were like tennis ball green when I left. And when I came back, they were banana bread ready. Like I had apparently a 48-hour window. It's like I would understand if my house was like 105 degrees, but what the fuck? It's September. Like, I guess maybe I'm exposing my lack of banana consumption. Like, man, these shits go bad quick.
They seem like they have a blood disorder with how easily they bruise. It's just ridiculous. You touch it and it's like, ooh, that's a bruise.
Have you heard of the fact, I think it's like 60, 70 years ago, we used to have a different breed of banana, tasted sweeter. I think it actually tasted more like the artificial banana flavor we have.
I've heard
and it's called, the Gros Michel is the name of it. Ultimately, some sort of weird banana fungus wiped it all out, and we ended up with the current banana, the Cavendish. Well, there's another banana bacteria out there, or whatever it is, another blight that's coming. bananas might become a bit of a commodity at some point in our lives, as opposed to being like the cheapest food you can
You're
buy.
telling me we can clone sheep and we can't bring back the good bananas?
This is part of the, so there are people that can grow them, but part of the reason I guess that bananas are highly susceptible to this is that they're all like clones of each other. So they're all the same. So when one thing comes through that can kill it, it's all dead. You know, like you or I, you know, we might have different resistances to like the flu or something. These bananas got no resistance to what's coming their way. But yeah, you can buy a bunch of Gros Michels, but they cost like $100 for like a bunch.
Good Christ.
For like 8 bananas because they're grown like indoors. You can't, if you put them outside, they're going to get the same fungus thing.
We need to improve our banana science.
I think that there are people being paid a lot of money to actually do that. Chris, I think you said words that another like fat cat in a C-suite said. My God, we need to improve our banana tech. Yeah, I think that's very much where we're going. Chris, I know this is your question, but I'm going to lob it up to you.
Good, because I don't really remember them.
You've done a great job so far, but you wanted to know, and I quote, what sick fuck invented mermaids?
Seriously? Isn't that weird to you? Because at some point, some guy had to be like, all right, make it a fish, but kind of hot.
I think that's the thing, is making the mermaid attractive is really, because if the mermaid was like basically like the Van de Kamp's fisherman and like a rain slicker down to his waist, and then and he was like, you need a ride? Like that would make more, a merman of frightening nature makes more sense to me than like
the other
fish I want to fuck.
I was thinking is the history of mermaids goes back very far. There's tales of fishermen saying they saw them in the water when really it was probably a mirage. But a mirage is something you usually see when you desperately need it.
Yeah, not like I desperately need to fuck a fish.
So this guy was so fucking horny. He saw a fish and was like, oh, yeah. Look at her. But he still kind of saw a fish and went with it. And they, what do they call them? Sirens or whatever?
Oh,
They would,
yeah.
like lure men into the water. So this guy so badly wanted to fuck this half fish that he jumped to his death in the water when it was probably a shark.
I mean, is that a testament to the quality of the grog, or is that just how shitty it is to be a pirate? I mean, I don't know. Maybe both.
Yeah.
But
at some point, some guy or multiple guys' brains were just like, I can't take this anymore. I have got to.
And you've seen so much fish that your sexual response has sort of been corrupted by.
Yeah.
That's, it reminds me of the Futurama episode where he encounters a mermaid and they want to have sex. Then he's like, how do I do this? Like, it's all, there's no opening for me down here.
That's a good point. You've already presented yourself with a problem.
And as he's running away, he goes, why couldn't she be the fish part on top and the lady part on the bottom? Yeah. Like, either way, you're running into some problems here. You
gotta confront something.
Yeah. But yeah, that is an interesting point, because same as like drawing, when you see the old maps with like giant squid or a big sea beast, you're like, okay, different people around the world were thinking of this same sort of thing at the same time, and that became the style. Why did they
decide to cut it off where they did? Why boobs?
Well, I guess it goes to like the navel, right? I guess it goes a little further down, but
also, why cover up the boobs? Just leave the boobs out.
Maybe that's like a classical art sort of thing where, like Lady Justice can have, nipple out, but you can't go full frontal. I mean, this is the halls of justice.
David's fucking hanging brain.
That's true. I'm not saying it's right or that it's fair or equal.
This is censorship, damn it.
I'm just strictly from the art perspective, like painting perspective. You don't see that too much with the full female frontal nudity.
I would only paint nudity.
It's just, that's
paint what you know.
I'm gonna make a bunch of flowers that look like vaginas.
George O'Keefe.
I do want to, circling back a little bit to the banana peel thing, because there is one thing I realized. For a long time, I thought that the slipping on a banana peel was like a really dramatic cartoon type folly. And then I slipped on a banana peel.
Oh no.
And
did you have time to realize what had happened before you hit the ground?
I definitely don't believe I saw it before I almost ate shit. I do wonder who threw it, because I've never seen a banana peel. Well, I mean, I guess who just tossed a banana peel on the ground? I mean, I guess it could have rumbled out the back of like a New York City fucking garbage truck or something, but who's just tossing banana peels out here? But I'm just angry because I almost ate shit.
I always have assumed that was not a real thing, that it was just something in cartoons.
Yeah, like quicksand or something.
But yeah, who would just come up with that? It had to have happened to somebody before. They're like, the people need to know. We've got to put this in the cartoon.
And then the other guy in the cartoon studio was like, whatever. And he's like, fucking throw a banana peel on the ground. Let's do this. And the guy was like, okay, whoa.
Yeah, no amount of spinach will save you from this banana peel.
And back then, I mean, not to say you can't die of, misadventure and simple folly now, but that was the era where it's like you fall down the stairs, you're dead. Slip in the street, you're dead.
Good point.
It's just
Car
all this
accident,
shit.
12 miles an hour, dead.
It's like banana peel. Like,
No,
shit, that might...
He fell.
It's yeah, what happened to Elmo?
He fell.
Just a neck-shattering fall.
No further questions.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be like that show, The Staircase. Yeah, that was all I had to add on the banana front. Okay, back to our podcast agenda here. We got our Tinderella question. Are there any situations that make you suck in your gut?
I have had a lot, and I noticed the only reason I'm even asking this question is because I noticed it last week at softball. We were taking the team picture, sucked in.
Oh yeah,
Vanity. Then I was like, I gotta kind of start keeping track of this, because what's making me do this? I didn't feel like putting on a shirt when I was taking out the garbage really early in the morning. Neighbor kids are outside, sucked in. I don't know why I cared. And then I thought I saw an attractive guy from high school at the mall, sucked it in. Wasn't him, but I still did.
You got to play it safe. Yeah. You don't know till you know.
So yeah, I'm doing it more than I even realize. I've just finally started paying attention to it.
I was definitely in that mode for the entire Puyallup Fair, and I'm not, or Washington State Fair. And part of that is, of course, you are trying to that's kind of how I feel. Don't T-Mobile Park this shit. Yeah. All right, it's Safeco or it's nothing. Park. Yeah, it's called the Clink, asshole. I think that I wasn't necessarily embarrassed about my appearance around the fair. I mean, I was eating a gigantic turkey leg at one point. Like, dignity's gone.
Well, I thought you were saying you were probably in the top quarter of attractive people anyway.
Potentially.
These are fair goers. I know what these people look like.
I was at least, in my proper...
How many sleeves were there?
It wasn't actually that down home. It was, I thought it was a good time. But last year we were there when it was kind of overcast. And it wasn't... We happened to go like the last Saturday of the year, and I think a lot of people came out to make that happen. Last year when we went, there were like 3 weeks left, and it was a shitty day in September. That was definitely a more drunk crowd. Because, I mean, we drink on the show all the time, but I saw they had like a beer and hard cider garden. People are in there at like 11 o'clock, and it's like, that's true alcoholism. That's like, you can't walk around the fair for 3 hours with your kid without being like, fuck me.
At home.
Yeah, or, I mean... I guess props to you. You got your kids to the fair. I mean, it's got big Mike Finchen energy for sure. Yeah. I've definitely been in that scenario.
Here's $20.
Yeah, exactly. Go play some whack-a-mole.
You got my phone number.
Yes. But yeah, especially because we were there early in the day, so it's not the 6 p.m. crowd. It's like the 10:45, getting your hard cider on. But that's the main one. Also, of course, and not that I have a bunch of them, but any wedding photos, you gotta. These cameras are too high quality. Yeah. Gotta be sucking in for that.
Catching this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sneak anything through here. Okay, is there any knot more complicated than the Chinese takeout bag knot?
I personally don't think there is, but I also am wondering, I have a theory that it may just be my level of patience that's making it so difficult.
Right, like if you were in a knot tying class and there was no... like pad thai on the other side. You could probably have the patience.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I was going to say, I don't even know the answer to this question because I've been caveman ripping into my plastic bags for years now.
How do you even attempt to undo the knot, or you just go straight into the side of the bag?
Same rule that I use when a car is stopped in front of me at a stoplight. If I can get it in 3 seconds, I'm not going to honk.
If I can tug at one of the things and it comes undone by itself.
Exactly, like just a little slip knot, like it's a little kid's shoes or something. But
I don't care if this is recyclable. I'm tearing it apart.
It's either simply double knotted, but double knotted so tight that you just, and I'm one of those degenerates that chooses fingernails, so I don't have like a lot of real estate here to get that free. They either do that or they tie the most arcane fucking ship knot. You know, I go to the Sloop in Ballard, the old sailor's bar, and was it Ballard Smoke Shop? They have a display on the wall that shows all these hyper complicated knots, and I think that they exist solely to protect the Chinese food from me.
Yeah.
From me, the user.
I do think it's specifically Chinese food. I don't have the problem with teriyaki yet.
I will say, the pho place that I occasionally get takeout from, no issues whatsoever.
Yeah,
not a problem.
They're not worried at all.
No, which is funny because there's just hot broth in here.
Yeah.
This should perhaps be the most secured shit imaginable.
Well, yeah. I mean, do Chinese delivery people still use bikes? Maybe that's where this came from.
That's a good point. Not where I live. We are too isolated. But if you were in the right place, if you're in like New York City or, downtown, like the Jimmy John's drivers.
If anybody knows why they tied the tightest fucking knots on the planet, let me know. May as well be under lock and key.
Maybe it's like a liability security type thing where you're like, okay, well, the bag just opened up, and they're like, no, the fuck it didn't. Whatever you did to spill your food is on you, sir. Yeah. We are not involved. All right.
That would be funny if at the Sloop, one of the knots is Chinese takeout knot.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
All right. A Kentucky woman quits her job after winning a $90,000 lottery jackpot with a $64,000 payout. How much would you need to win to quit your job? Okay, first of all, this is an indictment on the quality of life in Kentucky that you could even be fooled into thinking that that's...
Good point.
Good Lord. I'm not... minimum 10 times that amount. Part of it is because of where we live, like not cheap to... But, Ashley and I, we don't buy a bunch of lottery tickets, but when the Washington State one gets up to like $2.5 million, which is like 50% of that's the payout. So you always got to just cut it in half. And I'm like, yeah, what if we won 1.2 million? I don't even know if that's enough
I was thinking the same
to
thing.
retire like 50 years. And you're just going to step away now. You're just confident, not knowing if you're going to live another 30 or 70 years. It's the tough part of planning for retirement.
Maybe she was just going to get a bunch of cocaine and hookers and fucking blow it out.
Just go nuts. Well, I can retire because I'm only going to live for 6 weeks. It's like, I'm going to leaving Las Vegas, this shit. Yeah, that's fair.
I couldn't believe how, well, now I'm kind of feeling bad because maybe this is just an uneducated person who really thought, like it's Ricky and Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, like, yeah. He's got like 12 grand.
It's like, I'm retired. He's handing out money.
Just handing out $100 bills. Like, Ricky, you can only do that like 120 times before.
But God, it made me laugh. I mean, that person hated their job that fucking much. They're like, good enough. I'm out of here.
That I understand. If you're like, this is enough money to quit my current like shitty job and like move, find no one. That I totally get.
For 64 months until I can find another job.
Exactly. This will pay for me to like get on the plane and move to the city I want to move to. That I all understand. But yeah, straight up riding into the sunset like you're fucking Shane or something. Mm-hmm. No, you can't. The movie, not our friend. Yeah. But yeah,
not Shane Dog.
Yeah, the 50s Western. But yeah, I
always think like at least $5 million or something where it's like I would buy a house, I'd buy a really cool Mustang because I miss mine.
Fair.
And then pay for Kendall's college.
There you go. That's a smart one. That's a responsible one.
Mortgage. Whatever's left, if that's enough to retire on.
Yeah.
Then I would quit.
Well,
actually, I wouldn't have to. I'm unemployed.
Kind of. Fair enough. But we're also still young enough. I mean, I'm 33. You're 33 now. No, 32. 33 on April 1st. Mm-hmm. Like, I would probably work at least another 5 years just to be like, let's math out what's actually happening here a little bit more.
But I'm calling into work
It's
whenever I want.
there's definitely going to be some fuckery. There's definitely going to be some bullshit. My quality as a worker is going down at least a letter grade and a half.
I'm not going to be a good employee.
If I'm an A- now, I'm a C+ at best. And by God, if I'm a B- now, I don't even know. But yeah, I think that's a fair amount. If I were 60, I think it'd be different. You'd be very aware of, and I mean, of course, that's close to retirement age, but it's just hard to imagine like leaving 30 years of work on the table and that being like the financial decision that pans out. That's why we just got to win like Mega Millions, like the nice $1 billion.
I always fall for that.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I'll just give up $20 now. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to have 167 million in a couple weeks anyway.
Yeah, write that right off. Okay, if all jobs paid the same, what is your dream job?
Mailroom guy.
Mailroom guy.
I love the idea, just pushing the little cart around, giving everybody their mail, distracting them for a little. I've always been good at that. I've always been good at distracting people and chatting up coworkers and preventing them from accomplishing anything. So that's the dream, just get the. I also did that in high school. And junior high. This is kind of how I got into stand-up, really, was at lunch. I would just eat my lunch quick and I'd be like, well, shit, I still have like 30 minutes. And so I'd just go around to every table and just talk to the table and not leave until I made them laugh. And so that's I like that. I come by it honestly, but yeah, mailroom guy, it's like, oh, it's unassuming, he's a mailroom guy. Everyone likes the mailroom guy. Yeah. Maybe do like office pools and,
Yeah. Yeah, you're the guy that gets to talk to everybody, basically. I'm on every floor, man.
Super Bowl bets.
Buy a square.
Yeah, gossip. I've never done that, but I'd love to. It looks like a blast.
I think that mine would be running a record store. That would be...
That's a good one.
Because you just stand around at the counter a lot of the time. People ask for music recommendations. They buy something they don't. I get to play records all day, hang out. That sounds like the dream. And because we're saying that...
Fuck, I picked an actual job.
Well, in fairness, like my second thing was like working for the postal service, but actually delivering the mail. Like I would be a mailman if it paid a bit better. I would be super down for that gig, but it's just a little too low.
I would be a mail thief. Because then I'm getting paid and they get everybody's mail.
Yeah, there you go. You're like the Hamburglar. You're like, I am both employed by McDonald's and stealing from them. That's the old double dip. All right, what else we got here?
SPS, stealing parcel service.
There we go. Okay. One thing we did want to talk about, and we've talked about this ourselves before, but mostly it's restaurants that have names that I think you'd call it Noun and Noun.
Yeah.
Like the Walrus and the Carpenter.
Salt and Spoon.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Fuck you. Fuck off.
I just know that if I'm buying a taco, it's going to be $18.
Right.
It's just one of those, like, it might be good, but it's going to be some fucking gringo-ass taco that costs three times more.
Pick a fucking name. Pick an actual name. Don't just give me two words. Like, we couldn't decide which word we liked, so here's two of them.
Yeah.
It's always the same decor, too. It's always, like, the weirdest lighting. It's like they were going for, like, comfy, cozy, but they, like, got the non-LED lunchroom lights. Like, the ceilings are too tall. Everything's too white. This is just strange. You look like you just can't afford your lease at Bellevue Square for the next 3 months.
No, well, you told them what the name was going to be, and they're like, well, they're going to rake in the jack.
Prices, they're on these wood tables strewn about. You don't even know what's like...
No. And they're also the most likely to be requiring a QR code scan in order to get the menu to pull up. Like, can I just get a fucking menu, please?
Yeah, and you also don't know where the register is. You're like, where do I even check out?
Yeah.
Is anything in here for sale, or is this somebody's office?
You just charge me when I walk out like it's one of those old Amazon Fresh stores or something.
Do you guys sell plants, or are these... Why do you have so many plants?
We're friends with the local plant impresario. Yeah, Walrus and Carpenter. But if I'm going to open up my own, I'm definitely going to choose two words that have... I mean, I don't know what a walrus and carpenter have to do with each other, but I want to go like, I don't know, shampoo and balloon.
Walrus and Carpenter's real?
Yeah, that's a real place. Well, it was at least. I don't know if it's still open, but it was. I've heard good things. You could not pay me to go in there, but
No, I refuse to go into any of these places just based on how lazy they were to even pick the fucking name.
It's fun to come up with stuff, though. You know, the Gila
You know what's a
monster
great
and the
name?
lampshade.
The Gila monster and the lampshade. Lampshade makes anything sound cool. I don't know why. 'Cause a lampshade is not cool
It's
at
kind
all.
of bringing the ambiance
but it
in.
sounds fucking cool.
Like I'm in a smoke-filled room. For some reason, I'm talking to a Gila monster. We're both smoking.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't have any good examples because I hate them all so much. I can't even make my brain go there. Poop and farts. I don't know. It just makes me fucking mad.
That's a good one. Yeah, exactly. The football and the water slide.
The pebble and the penguin. Wait.
Excuse me.
Fair. All right. So here we go. We're going to do headlines, our little education segment. Got to keep you guys up on current events. Man pulls gun after Burger King worker refused to take drugs for payment. Gets 143 years in prison.
Listen, man. If
I'm just going to say it. I don't think he's going to last 143 years in there.
you know,
Highly doubt it.
it's like the Amelia Earhart question. She's got to be dead now. There's no way she's still out there.
By now.
Yeah. 143 years is one of those fuck you sentences. I will say, maybe the guy was willing to take the payment, but as a former cashier, there's no place in there for, like, a little vial of crack rocks.
Yeah.
Like, where do I put
you know,
them?
At the end of the day, it's going to be short. Especially if I take these drugs, I'm never going to be able to make the math up.
Yeah, do you know what fast food workers get paid? Like, they can buy the crack back from the goddamn till to make it all. No. You've given this guy a really unfair homework assignment.
Yeah, I'll put the crack in here with the 5 so I remember at the end to buy it back. On the other hand, it's very generous.
It's there's almost no way that the guy wasn't getting a good deal for those drugs.
Exactly. Exactly.
Couple Whopper Juniors.
Yeah, absolutely. Really cutting out the middleman, too. Just came right to you at work. You don't even have to stop on your way home.
There was one time we were 20 and we were driving to Chicago for a music festival. It's like a fun thing to do. Blah blah blah. I decided not to bring weed with me because we were driving through a bunch of fucking draconian ass weed law states like Montana and Idaho and all that. So I was like, we're not taking weed. Stinks up too much. You know, we're 4 teenagers in a car. It's just going to be a problem.
Right.
One of us got antsy and was just like, we didn't even get through Butte, and they were just like talking to Burger King employees like, you got weed, man?
Oh, my God.
You know how many Burger King employees you had to talk to? One! One! I totally had weed.
It sucks, but we have it.
Actually, you know, I've smoked some dirt. I was surprised.
My favorite thing about this story is that he didn't pull the gun until they didn't accept the drugs.
Right.
Like he tried to do the right thing first.
Right. Yeah. In high school, when we would buy beer or steal it, we would always try the fake ID first and then steal it. Like, we're willing to pay.
Yeah.
We're willing to do this normally. But if you don't want to do that, we're going to have to resort to
you don't
thieving.
accept this? Well, I'm going to leave this money here. Yeah, that...
Also, 143 years, what were these drugs? I guess if it's fentanyl, I get it. But, like, I feel like 43 years would do the job. The same job
you
that...
need to throw 100 on there.
That seems real harsh.
Making an example.
What has he got, like airborne botulism or something?
Years to somebody else.
Jesus Christ.
There's got to be somebody else who deserves it.
It's right. There's got to be somebody that's committing more of a wrong than trying to buy a Whopper with a crack rock.
Yeah.
I know the pulling the gun is the problem.
Yeah, it's the guns. It's the violence. School worker gets 9 years in prison for stealing $1.5 million worth of chicken wings.
How do you fence that? How do you move that product?
You're right, because you've got to be a dealer at this point. You're not eating all those wings by yourself.
No,
There's no fucking
$1.5
way.
million worth. Chicken wings are like
20 cents.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We're talking about.
If they're selling them to me for 65 cents, I know they can't. It's got to be less than 20 cents.
And this is a school worker. Yeah, they're getting. You're absolutely right. They're getting like the Sodexo pricing, the bulk pricing.
Also, how did they get up to $1.5 million before somebody was like, "Wait a second, this isn't adding up"? We're going through a lot of chicken wings.
Yeah, because I've heard of some interesting food heists in the past. There was a famous, I think it was a maple syrup heist in Canada, but your value per weight is way better. And also chicken wings go fucking bad. You know, maple syrup, there's some shelf stability there while you look for a buyer. Of course, you can freeze these chicken wings, but I don't know what $1.5 million worth of chicken wings. That's got to be a lot of freezers.
Yeah, I wonder where the tip-off came. Like, was it the school noticing, or were the distributors like, we're not getting any more orders in this area for chicken wings?
How short are we? Like a bag or two? Like $1.5 million worth.
Yeah, Liddell ordered over 11,000 cases of wings, which she picked up herself in a cargo van. The scheme was uncovered. Scheme? She ordered 11,000 like somebody's dumb. That's
11,000 boxes. This had to be way more than a cargo van.
Uncovered when a business manager noticed unusual invoices, I'd say, as chicken wings, which contain bones, are typically not served to students. Fair. So it wasn't the $1.5 million part where they're like, wait a second.
Yeah, do you think if she only stole like 1.2, she'd have gotten away with it?
If somebody ordered 11,000 cases of anything, I'd say, wait a second.
You sure 10,000's not enough? This is the same as the 143 years. Like,
also, who's just going one fell swoop for all? Let's just do all 1.5 million now.
Yeah.
Instead of
try to
10,000 one month. Kind of spread it out a little bit.
Yeah, that's going to be really, like you said, oh, the balance sheets look weird. Yeah, somebody tried to buy $1 million worth of wings in a month.
Yeah, I
a year.
Think this person probably
bit off more than they could chew.
It's probably the person who quit their job after $64,000, and they're like, "Oh fuck, I'm going to need more than this."
Time to get some capital going.
And why did you choose chicken wings of all the things?
That's what I'm saying. Like
they had to have had a buyer lined up.
That's fair.
Somebody needed chicken wings, and they're like, "I can make that happen for you."
But what sort of sinister underground black market chicken wing world is there?
Racist. Oh my god.
We'll say African American market. There's no way. Yeah, that is hilarious.
All right. New research says hippos can fly briefly. This one really annoys me.
This feels like a technicality.
All they've actually discovered is that when hippos run, they aren't like striders like humans, where there's always one foot on the ground. When they're running, all four come off
like
the
a
ground
cartoon.
briefly. That's not fucking flying.
No.
This is not Dumbo.
No. Get from here to something 6 feet up.
Yeah.
Then you're
not
flying. 3 feet up.
There's no flapping.
No.
Tiny ears. I could never.
You don't have wings. You don't have avian bones. You don't have the nice weightless sort of bones.
This is research, and they came out with the word fly. Scientists. This is not flying.
No, this is a disgusting abuse of the English language.
That's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, I think so. Like you said, you've misdefined the word. And have you seen Usain Bolt run? I swear sometimes he's got all 2 feet off the ground. I swear he's flying.
Possibly. They also only analyzed 169 strides from 32 hippos. That does not seem like
that. Seems like a very small sample size. 169 strides.
How skinny were these hippos?
All right, what else do we got on here? Okay, we have next. Sorry, I've been bouncing around between these. Oh, fantastic. We got Gucci or Greasy. Breakfast or dinner?
I have to say, personally, I think that this is Gucci, but I can see the Greasy accusation.
No, I think this is very Gucci. I think this is great.
It depends on what it is. If you're going pancakes for dinner,
I've never done that one. I'm not opposed to the concept, but Ashley and
that's how I found out about the concept.
Ashley sometimes goes for the sweet breakfast, but we're normally savory people. Like 1 out of every 15 visits to a breakfast joint. I'll be like,
why can't I eat eggs after noon? Fuck you.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of feels like kind of a dinner type item, anyways, or could be. Are you a scrambled or fried egg man?
Scrambled big time.
Yeah, scrambled guy. I've always been a fried guy, but I like what you can do with the scrambled. Both have legs. Both have their perks.
I was talking to Shane about this earlier. Actually, he's a breakfast man.
Yeah, fold whatever you want in there.
My thing: 4 eggs, 4 those little like breakfast sausages, 2 Yukon potatoes kind of cut up, a little bit of cheese, scramble that all up.
Oh yeah,
You got yourself a breakfast there, partner.
absolutely. Yeah, my dad was a pretty good.
Ketchup on a scramble.
I go hot sauce. Respect the ketchup, but ketchup's a little too thick for like I like the thin vinegary nature of like Tabasco sauce. But
I go back and forth, kind of like both. I won't do both at the same time. I'm not crazy.
hold on, partner, I'm overstimulated. Oh, that's a good point. I know where Katie's family would fall on that question. You're going, we're doing the
we
ketchup.
just have a bottle of ketchup for dinner.
I've got so much lycopene in my system. Okay, so we agree Gucci there. So we were down to our last two segments. This we're gonna do a Wikipedia segment. It's a bit weird though. So the Wikipedia segment today is about a musician named Jandek.
Quite the name.
Quite the name. And
Just the guy's person's last name. Who's this person?
So Jandek, it's a guy. We basically know his name now as Sterling Smith. In the 70s,
Just go by Sterling Smith.
it is a pretty good
That's
country
great.
name. Yeah.
Oh, it's country too?
Well, I'll play a short bit because there's no way we're getting a DMCA strike on this. And it's country, but only in the most like ramshackle description. This music is barely listenable. But the legacy of Jandek comes more from the way that he has chosen to market or not market his music, rather than like having developed an actual fan base.
Oh, okay. So basically, this guy's a joke, and it's working.
It's you're pretty close. So first, I think before we get any further, it makes sense to play at least 10 seconds of this. You're gonna hate it.
All right, wait, hold on.
Yes.
Are you able to play that? Are you able to pull something up on like YouTube and play it?
I think that I can just do
I
it
think
from
the
here.
audio quality might be better, and we have enough time. It might.
I don't think anything can make this sound better. I'm pretty worried about this. But
can if you put them on headphones.
It's
We have to hear it with headphones, so I don't have an outlet speaker.
okay.
That's fine.
I think here. Let's try this, Chris. Let's just play it.
Or
Let's.
straight up to the mic.
Yeah, I think it'll
This is
work
fine.
okay. We'll fast forward a bit just to get some of the vocals in before I stop.
Sounds like a horror movie.
I keep repeating, it takes a beating.
Yeah, so it carries
Why
on.
does he sound like the greased up deaf guy from Family Guy?
That's a great question. So, like Jandek, even the name, I think he just found like two words in the dictionary because he originally had some other name for his band, if that's what you want to call what was happening there. And I think
I
it was
also
called
get why he preferred anonymity. If that's what he's going to put out. Good Christ.
his original, that album was released under the moniker The Units.
That sounded
And
like
so-
somebody learning how to play guitar.
For sure. It's a deliberate approach. Not saying he's some great guitar player, but
It sincerely creeped me out. There was something creepy about it. Is it all creepy?
yes, most of it's very unsettling. And so the way that throughout his career he has sold his music is through a company that he had to have founded called Corwood Industries. The only way to get his music from him is by mail order. He's not on like Apple Music, anything like that.
I wonder why.
It's dude, the fans are clamoring.
So wait, why do you have it?
Because there was a stretch there where I was really interested in, I guess what you would call
Unsettling.
outsider art, like outsider music.
Okay.
Like in the art world, for example, there's a famous textbook that's like art strictly by those that were in mental institutions. And so it's kind of a fascinating textbook of, and in the 60s, another example is I think he was the guitarist for Moby Grape, kind of a 60s psychedelic group. He ate a bunch of acid, lost his mind, tried to murder somebody with an axe in the band. So they understandably were like, you got to go, dude.
Yeah, you're out.
He went to a mental institution for a bit. And when he got out, he took his motorcycle directly to the studio and recorded. His name is Skip Spence, and recorded an album called Ore that is also kind of known for having weird modulations and stuff that make it very off-putting. Not
Cole,
nearly as
what's a
ramshackle.
modulation?
It's music theory that I'm not smart enough to understand, but just sort of like the conventions that you come to expect in songwriting. Oh, that was a weird minor note. Just that sort of shit where you're like, this feels off.
Tempo being on key.
Yeah, exactly. The normal sequences of, you return back to C major here.
Yeah.
Like, no, that shit's all out the window. But yeah, Jandek was basically for 35 years, nobody knew the fuck he was.
35. Why did anybody give a shit?
That's also a fair question. I think it's fair. I think that
There had to be a splash, though, right?
he did eventually do like a show, like a folk music festival, which I guess is probably the most appropriate place for that kind of thing.
I can't imagine seeing that live.
No, it'd be very well. I think that his live shows are more improvisational and not as
I feel like
weird.
no spotlight, hair in front of his face,
Yeah,
raggedy clothes, lots of holes,
yeah. All the album covers,
guitar case in front, open for change.
They're basically every album cover is him in some random place in Houston, Texas, in front of a store or whatever. None of it has
a mask.
No, it's just some average ass guy with a bunch of songs that are weirdly titled, like "The Cat That Walked to Shelbyville" and "When the Telephone Melts."
When the telephone melts.
Yeah, one of his albums I think is called "Staring at the Cellophane." Like normal. Clearly a guy operating on a normal basis here.
There's no way he was making money.
Mm-mm.
So he had to have a different job.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, this reminds me of, do you know who Brad Upton is?
Is that the guy from
he's a stand-up comic from the Seattle area.
Okay.
He's gotten really popular now, just because he's extremely funny, but I think now that he's a little bit older and he's very funny, I think for whatever reason it all clicked and he finally took off. He's been great for years, but it finally all took off for him recently. But anyway, I remember a couple of years ago talking to Brad and we were doing a show at a casino. He's like, I'm sick of doing these. He's like, he's a clean comic.
Yeah.
Pretty clean. PG-13, you know, like he's pretty clean.
Couple racy things.
But he's not squeaky clean, but he's kind of a grumpy guy. I don't know how he is now that his career's kind of taken off because I haven't seen him since.
Yeah, did this improve your mood or are you more grumpy now?
Right. But he always said, I wish I could just start a stand-up career with a different name and say all the shit that I want to say. Because he's like, now I have like too many followers. Like there's too much expected of me to be clean. I can't say all the stuff I want to say. I wonder if this was an actual musician who was like, I just want to do something fucking weird.
Could be,
And then
for
went
sure.
and did something weird. Or it's like an accountant somewhere. Like,
I do think that the choice of both weird music and weird distribution system indicates a deeper weirdness maybe than just wanting to do like a little outside, like to not market your music in any way and to be like unfindable for 35 years.
how did it even take off? That's crazy to me. Anybody even knows what this is.
So he sent a lot of free records to colleges. So there's a few colleges that actually have like their complete collection of Jandek, but through this sort of informal distribution method.
Smart.
Well, and I do think that, nobody would seek out that music normally, but by doing this very weird and almost mysterious method of distribution, he probably has generated more interest in his stuff than otherwise he would have. But
Manson would have fucking loved him, I think.
yeah, another songwriter.
Yeah. Yeah. Both crazy, man. Who have you killed?
But yeah, that's Jandek. Sorry if that one wasn't very funny, but it's a fascinating, weird guy.
A lot of the people I talk to about our show appreciate our humor, obviously, but the thing that I keep hearing from people is like, I always learn something weird.
Well, I do think that that less than 100% of our crowd knows who Jandek is. I feel confident about that.
I had no clue walking into this what that was going to be about.
So
I was like, is that going to be a military operation? Is that?
It's definitely there's nothing about that name that indicates music's coming. And there's nothing about the music that indicates that either.
I thought it was some weird Russian thing, maybe.
It also would have probably made more sense than what it actually is.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go to This Week in History and wrap this up. So, this week in history, September 19th, 1985, Tipper Gore and other political wives formed the Parents Music Resource Center, as Frank Zappa, John Denver, and other musicians testify at U.S. congressional hearings on obscenity and rock music. This is where the parental advisory sticker ultimately came from, is the PMRC. So, I was going to ask, did your parents ever prevent you from listening to certain bands or types of music?
No, if anything, it was the other way. I only remember one time. And I think it was just because it was a little too early in the morning to be listening to Fat Lip by Sum 41.
That's fair.
But my dad did not like that I was, and it was a little too loud. He just came up and he like hit my boombox to turn it off. He's like, "Turn that shit off," and I was like, all right. Never happened again, and very out of character for my dad.
Yeah.
So, but that's as close to censorship as I ever came.
Yeah, that sounds more just like frustrated dad.
Yeah, I remember my mom, like even specifically when I was a little, maybe not too young, like 5th grade, I was already saying dumbass and watching that 70s show, which is why I was saying dumbass.
Yeah, Red Foreman.
Yeah, but my parents showed me Big Balls by AC/DC.
Oh, great track.
And I'm like, this is a song about like going to a ball.
Yeah.
My mom's like, no, there's something else to it.
Huh?
He's talking about. Huh? You don't have him yet, but you'll get it. You'll get it. Yeah. So no, my mom is all about the inappropriate. So I was introduced to that stuff early.
Yeah.
Definitely no censorship of really any kind.
Yeah. They let you watch most movies by a young age.
Yeah, I knew exactly where to pause Titanic.
It's 1998. We got Kate Winslet. Yeah, for me, the most part, I did not experience that either. I remember one of my early memories with Mike, still living in California at that point, so I couldn't have been older than 3. He's playing Suicidal Tendencies in the car, and he's just like, for some reason, he's just like, hey, Kolpy, we're white trash. I think he thought it would be funny to convince me of this reality. And I was just like, yeah, I didn't know
I've never heard somebody say that.
Yeah, just like embracing the
That's
identity.
fantastic.
We do like Mountain Dew, but I get home and I'm just like, Mom, we're white trash. And she's just like, Mike, what the fuck are you teaching these kids?
What, you thought you were going to get a high five?
Yeah, right, exactly. You want to go to the bowling alley? Yeah, so, and then one time, my dad, old buddy of his, Wayne, we spent a summer up there with my dad. This was the guy that he cut down the trees with in the forest to drive to the bar and back. This was the days of Napster, and Wayne, let us have free reign on his computer and burn whatever CDs we wanted. And at some point, I had a CD that had like one Insane Clown Posse song on it. Don't remember what it was, but I know my mom heard it come on, and that CD immediately got destroyed.
Wow.
Which from a qualitative standpoint, I do still stand by, but not because they were saying bad words.
It wasn't censorship. It's just horrible.
Yeah,
music.
just listen to, it's like, okay, that's Rich coming from the Aerosmith fan, but I like rocks, that's it. But yeah, that's the only time I can think of. Okay, September 20th, 1973. Singer Jim Croce and 5 others die when their light aircraft crashes shortly after takeoff in Louisiana. What early musician death bums you out the most?
That one really sucks because, I mean, I wasn't alive for it, but I love Jim Croce. And he was starting to write children's books, and that was going to be his last tour. He was going to be done doing music.
Yeah.
He wound up dying on the way home. So that one bums me out.
Yeah.
I also don't really remember Kurt Cobain, like when that happened, but that one is a huge, huge bummer to me just looking back on it. Like, I can't think of a lot of musician deaths when somebody was truly at the peak.
Yeah.
When
Buddy Holly, maybe Skinnerd.
Right. Yeah.
On the Kurt Cobain topic, by the way, he had a Jandek record, and the person at Rolling Stone asked him about it. And he said, Jandek is not pretentious, but only pretentious people like Jandek. And that interview raised Jandek's profile quite a bit. That one little thing.
There we go. This is what I'm talking about.
But yes, a fun little fact for you. But I'm sorry, back
Where
to
did this come from? Yeah.
sad musician deaths.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I've been more shaken by athlete, because every musician who's died, like in my life that I remember, I've been kind of like, yeah, they were kind of old. Like,
Not a lot.
actually, Chris Cornell.
That's
that
a big one.
And Chester Bennington, both of those really bothered me.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, in terms of celebrity deaths, I don't really connect it. Like, it seems so far away. Two that have Johnny Gaudreau recently. That one fucked me up.
Yeah, that sucks.
That really fucked me up. But Robin Williams, I think, is, of all the celebrity deaths that have ever happened, I've never been more affected by one than that one.
Yeah, that's completely fair.
This is a fun segment. This is fun.
Yeah, this is where you get the laughs. Look, man, I was strapped on history questions. For me, I'm going MF Doom. That's the one that brought me to tears. He had admittedly been inactive, but it was shocking. He was only like 49 and hadn't heard from him in a bit, but he was always reclusive. So that one...
Mac Miller would be another one in our lifetime.
That's certainly somebody that died very young with, a lot more musical future.
Wasn't exactly my style, but I know, like, I talk about somebody at their peak, like that. He was still,
very popular.
He was still on fire.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Cornell would be top 3. There was one more, but I think I've lost it. Those two, I would say, were the two that really... Bowie, I think, was a big one because he had released Black Star 2 days before, and it was a phenomenal album. I had just listened to it for the first time. And the videos had all this weird imagery of him being, like, pursued by demons and death. It all made sense once he passed 2 days later that's what the album was ultimately, mostly about. So it wasn't like, oh, Bowie dead at 69, like, cut super short or anything, but because the album had come out so recently, that one was just shocking simply because of that. Like, I'm a massive Bowie fan. I'm also a massive Lou Reed fan. When Lou Reed died, that didn't shock me in the same way because Lou Reed hadn't been doing as much stuff musically, and at about the same age. And so, yeah, I think those are kind of like the big 3 that I certainly remember. But, all right, final question, funnier topic, and then we'll close this up. September 26, 1953.
Oh, I thought you were going to say September 11th for a second.
Yeah.
Funnier topic. Oh, God.
Let's kick this up a notch. Rationing of sugar ends in the United Kingdom. So 1953. So they had been rationing for like over 10 years at that point, I think. What food would you struggle to ration most?
Cheese puffs.
I like the idea that it's going to be that specific. Yeah. Like, we're not talking about staples like sugar or flour.
No, it's cheese puffs. No. Anytime we get the thing of those from Costco, not even 2 days. Just absolutely annihilated almost instantly. We can't get them anymore. It's come to that.
Yeah.
Can't have them.
Yeah. I can't buy Oreos.
Oreos
Oreos can't be in the house. That. And as I mentioned earlier with the breakfast, I can't even eat that much sweet stuff, but Oreos, I will sniff those out. Cannot have them.
Like the taste of whale.
If the embargo, if the rationing is going that specific towards Oreos, and most of the year it won't matter, but when I need one, I will resort to crime.
I love the premise of needing an Oreo.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's like, to me, it's similar in phrasing too. I could really use a beer right now. What do you mean use a beer? Like using drugs? Like, but yeah, I think Oreos would be my number 1. But I do think...
What would make you need an Oreo? I mean, below nuclear war.
Definitely smoke a little too much vape pen for the munchies to really set in, but there are times where you're just like, oh, fuck me. Where's the sugar in the house? Just like, I will eat any amount of fruit snacks.
I was thinking like you get in a fight with Ashley. You're like, I need a fucking Oreo.
Yeah, this is like my stress food.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah, I'm going Oreos. Either that or cheeseburgers. If somehow all the ingredients to a cheeseburger are just...
ration.
That's the ration. Yeah, that's a problem
they've
too.
Imposed a limit on how many cheeseburgers can exist at once.
It's like I've told you. I think I like burritos more, but burgers, they're prevalent. They're everywhere. So I think we're just about at time here. So shall we wrap up?
Thanks for listening again. You can find us all the places: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Please follow us, like, and subscribe. Make us feel like this isn't a complete waste of time.
Woo!
Thank you guys for listening. Jordan, love you all. Bucks and Six.